It is 6:11, 12 weeks to the minute that the shooting began. I would like to ask everyone to join me in a moment of silence.
Former President Trump back in Butler, Pennsylvania, 3 months after he was almost killed. He started his rally with that moment of silence to remember the firefighter who was murdered during the attempted assassination. The former president speaking in the same exact spot, saying time stopped on July 13th and calling the shooter an evil villain. Good evening, I'm Brian Enton. This is our special report, The Plot to Kill Trump, back to Butler. We're going to go deep into the investigation into how the attempted assassination happened and all the law enforcement failures and what we have uncovered about what went wrong. And a lot went wrong. We've been investigating for months. But I want to start tonight with Trump's return to Butler and what he had to say about that day 3 months ago.
Exactly 12 weeks ago this evening on this very ground, a cold-blooded assassin aimed to silence me and to silence the greatest movement, MAGA, in the history of our country. MAGA. We love MAGA. For 16 harrowing seconds during the gunfire, time stopped as this vicious monster unleashed pure evil from his sniper's perch, not so far away. But by the hand of Providence and the grace of God, that villain did not succeed in his goal, did not come close.
And security, it is tight out here, noticeably very, very different from last time when we were out here 3 months ago. Local, state, and federal law enforcement, they had the entire area surrounded. There were snipers in almost every single direction that you looked. Could be a record crowd size for a Trump event. The sheriff initially estimated 60,000 people would be here. You can see the aerial shot. That, by the way, was taken from Trump's plane when he flew over. We're now told that the estimate could reach 100,000 people. But the most emotional part of the night was Trump remembering firefighter Corey Compatore. He was shot and killed during the July rally. He was an amazing guy. Tonight, his uniform was in the bleachers in the exact spot where he sat. You can see that picture there. It was surrounded by flowers. His wife and daughters greeted Trump when he landed at the airport in Pittsburgh.
When the sound of gunshots pierced the air on that July evening, Corey leapt into the fire one more time. In his last seconds of this earth, he threw himself on the top of his wife and daughters. He didn't want them hurt. He threw himself. He said he knew what was happening. He didn't want them hurt. And he was hit hard. He was hit hard. And he gave his life to shield their lives.
And also a big moment tonight was Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. He was here. It was his first Trump rally. You'll remember Musk endorsed Trump after the assassination attempt, saying that he was impressed with Trump immediately standing up like a fighter. Trump introduced Musk tonight.
His name is Elon Musk. He saved free speech. He created so many different great things. Where is he? Come on up here, Elon. He created the first major American car company in generations, and his rocket company is the only reason we can now send American astronauts into space. Come here. Take over, Elon. Yes, take over.
Hi, everyone. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. And, you know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight. Blood coming down the face. Now, America is the home of the brave. And there's no truer test than courage under fire. So who do you want representing America? Yeah, absolutely. And I think this election, I think it's the most important election of our lifetime.
Throughout all of this, what has been amazing is talking to all the people at the rallies. So many were here at the first rally, saying that they have PTSD, that they were emotional, but that they wanted to be here to support Trump, but also to do what they felt like was the American thing to do, to be here, to push back against any kind of political violence, to say, we're not going to be scared, we're not going to let this have us back down. This is what some of the folks told me today. You were here 3 months ago.
Yes, we were here. We were 6 rows back from the shooting.
Trump on his right side.
Yeah, and so was this couple, Tracy and Shane.
Is it emotional being back?
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of, I feel, I don't know, mixed emotions about it, but I'm glad that we came back today.
When you say mixed emotions, what do you mean?
Well, who would have thought we would have witnessed that shooting? That was pretty intense and scary. So, yeah, I don't know.
Very surreal.
Yeah, very surreal.
Very surreal. It could have been a lot worse. You could see, like, we were right 6 rows in front of the stage on the left side.
Does it feel strange being back?
It feels strange, but it actually feels good, like, because he has the courage to come here again. So it makes you feel proud, like he's not scared. He's not, he has faith in the people, faith in security, and it's awesome to see him back here again.
I mean, what do you think it says about America, regardless of your political beliefs, that everyone is back here?
It just shows that Americans will move on and get on with it. It doesn't matter. You know, I've been to Vietnam and then I was stationed in Berlin, Germany. It was my job, but I was doing what's right for the United States of America. And that's what this is.
And I'm joined now by Heather Hertig and Shelly Nadler. They were both here at the first rally back on July 13, 3 months ago, and you were back here today. And you are, by the way, volunteers also, I just found out. And you've been here since 2 a.m. They've been here since 2 a.m. working. So thank you so much for staying a little later with us tonight. Let me start with you, Heather. What was it like to be back today?
It was actually more exciting. It wasn't scary or anything like that. It's just, you feel like a part of it now. Instead of just coming to see Trump talk, it's more of an emotional, like you're a part of things, like it's a camaraderie. It's not just an election, it's about togetherness. And
Shelly, you were in the front row back on July 13th. I mean, you were right in front of Trump when this all happened, when he was shot and when Corey was killed. What was it like for you today?
It was a little emotional for me. I wanted to come, like she said, it seems like we're all one big family in this together, but I felt like I needed to have some closure because it was just so surreal when we were here the last time. It was so traumatic for me personally. It took me a long time to get over it. So I felt if I came here today, that would kind of help me put an end to this feeling that I have about it, and just show the world that we're not scared to come here, and they can see how many people are here as a big family to support him.
Yeah, it's interesting. There were some people I spoke to who said, look, like, we support Trump, but we just couldn't go back a second time. Like, they were just too scarred from it. I mean, did that go through your mind? Did you know you'd be able to come back?
I was a little hesitant when we first got here, when we saw the building where the shooter was, but then the excitement kind of took over for me, and then that did help me heal a little bit, the excitement. And everybody's so happy to be here. Everybody's just friendly, happy, and excited, and it was very exciting. It was awesome.
I mean, Heather, for people watching who aren't Trump supporters, even if you're a Democrat, I I mean, the fact that this happened to someone, a former president, someone running for president, I mean, it does seem like the American thing to show that we're not going to be scared and to come back.
Right, exactly. I mean, everyone needs to come together, and I think no matter who you're for, it's just important to be together. And I don't know, it was just really nice to see Trump again not hurt, because that was really, really terrible.
And I just have to ask you, I mean, the Elon Musk moment, I mean, that was sort of unexpected. And, you know, he said he was coming, I think it was yesterday, the day before. What was that like?
It was pretty awesome, and everyone in my family's jealous because I was here and they weren't, because they are big fans of Elon.
Well, thank you so much, Shelly. It was nice to meet you. Thank you, Heather. I know you guys have been up since 2 a.m., so you want to get some rest now. So thank you for joining us today. And I know, again, like, it's been a lot, the motion of it all. So we appreciate you very much. Thank you so much. So a lot of people like Heather and Shelly obviously wanted to be out here, but you can tell from the way they talk, you know, this is something that they're still dealing with. All right, we've got a lot more to get to in this special report tonight. We have brand new video you've never seen from a documentary crew right near the stage. The second those shots rang out, we're going to play it for you. It's really incredible stuff, hasn't been seen before. A new view of this, that's coming up. And then the law enforcement response, we put it together so you can see from start to finish how the entire assassination attempt played out. You'll learn some new things that you didn't know. This is something we've been looking into for the last 3 months. Plus, have we ever known less about a would-be assassin? You think back in history. Why don't we know more about the shooter, Thomas Crooks? We're going to talk about it. This is The Plot to Kill Trump. We are live in Butler, Pennsylvania, and we'll be right back. Tell me why you wanted to be here from all the way in Ohio.
I just think it's historical to be where he was able to come back and stand here. And yeah, I just think it's great. I'm very blessed to be here today. I'm very happy.
And that's really what we heard over and over again today here in Butler. People from all across the country excited to be here to support former President Trump, even after everything that happened here in Butler 3 months ago. Trump says he had unfinished business here. It's one of the reasons he wanted to come back. And he's sort of right. So much of this, so much of what happened here feels unfinished. It seems like we're still learning and still seeing things every single week that come out about this, like this brand new, never before seen video that we have to show you tonight. It was shot by a documentary crew right by the stage the moment the gunman fired. They shared it exclusively with NewsNation, so we're going to play it for you. You can really absorb it. We're going to play it in full. You're going to get to hear the brand new account from the crew who was there. All of that is coming up in just a moment. But first, let's take you through minute by minute what happened on the stage 84 days ago. July 13th, departing on a trip that would shake a nation.
Very lively environment.
Very lively. Everybody just couldn't wait, just anticipated him coming.
In Butler, Pennsylvania, the crowd is also gathering.
Going around.
5:51 p.m., Pennsylvania State Police notify the Secret Service a man is spotted on the ground with a rangefinder. He's lost in the crowd. A minute later, 5:52, Secret Service agents shared the report with their sniper team and ground agents. At this point, law enforcement is unaware the man has a gun.
Please welcome the next president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
11 minutes later, 6:03, the 45th president of the United States takes the stage.
This is a big crowd. This is a big, beautiful crowd.
6:09, as Donald Trump is speaking, spectators alert officers. A gunman is on the roof.
There he is right there. Right there, see him?
Gray shirt, climbing up the metal roof on the building right beside us. And didn't know what he was doing, trying to alert cops and police.
2 minutes later, 6:11 and 21 seconds, a local officer is seen walking along the edge of the building.
Officer, he's on the roof.
Chaos, more people yelling that a man presents a grave danger, desperate to share what they're seeing. others fleeing. One of the Secret Service sniper teams has changed positions and appears to spot something just moments before the first shot is heard.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Moving his spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to spare. Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready. We ready? Are we good? Shooter's down. Are we good to move? We're good to move. We're clear. Let's move. Let's move. We're clear.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we got to move to the closet. Let me get my shoes.
Okay. Watch out.
Wait.
Let's go back to the exact moment. The gunman fires, an echo is heard.
Take a look at what happened. Take a look what happened.
A second shot, and then as the third comes, Trump getting to the ground. 10 seconds later, as the Secret Service covers Donald Trump, there are more screams. Law enforcement crosses the stage.
Moving his spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Shooter's down. Are we good to move? We're clear. Let's move. Let's move. We're clear. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we got to move to the closet.
And with a composure documented for the ages, Donald Trump urges his supporters to fight. The crowd is discovering others have been hit. Corey Comparator is dead. The former fire chief and father dove on top of his family, saving their lives, but losing his. James Koppenhaver, 74, and David Dutch, 57, critically wounded. 2.5 minutes after shots fired, Trump's huddle whisks him from the scene.
USA! USA! USA!
The entire drama playing out live on NewsNation.
That is remarkable. You have just witnessed history live from this Trump event. This is a Trump campaign event just days from the RNC. Former President Trump potentially hit by gunfire. We have to confirm, but he is still raising his arm in what looks to be courage, confidence, saying that he's okay to that crowd.
The protective column of his detail makes its way to Butler Memorial Hospital that's being cleared to triage the unthinkable. Trump rally goers seeking treatment for heat exposure, seeing armed agents, discovering what's happening.
We're front row, and my friend saw blood coming out of his head.
Oh my God.
There he is. There he is. There he is.
Oh, thank God.
He's walking. He's walking.
8:50 p.m., doctors finish treating Donald Trump, and he heads to the airport in Pittsburgh. His life-altering day ending just the way it began, with Donald Trump on the campaign trail. His team posting this video a mere 6+ hours after the shooting, touching down in New Jersey. And just after dawn Sunday morning, Trump addressed his supporters on Truth Social, thanking them for the prayers and thanking God. When you see all that video in real time like that, all of it laid out, it really is clear what a close call this was, how the bullet really was so close to Trump's head, less than an inch. We've seen so many angles of the shooting, like you saw there. So many cell phones were rolling, but there was actually a documentary crew closer to Trump than anyone else. The doc series is called Art of the Surge, and we've obtained an exclusive look at what they saw. Take a look.
They're clearing the building right now. We've got one down on the roof.
We've seen so many of the videos, but it's still so disturbing, especially that part at the end where you can see people crowding around to help Corey Compatore there in the bleachers. The firefighter who was killed, they were doing CPR. The documentary producer told me former President Trump almost immediately decided that he wanted to come back here to Butler to make the point that he was not backing down.
There was a lot of talk about whether the president would return here, and I saw some of his senior staff immediately at the RNC right after, and they said, we're going back to Butler. I said, oh, really? We're doing it before the election. And I know that there were people that were against it as far as security, because it's a lot. They've put all these tankers in place. They've had to blockade the whole area. And then we came back here and we spoke to the sheriff and some law enforcement. They didn't know he was coming back, and they asked, do you know if he's coming back? I said, he's definitely coming back. And this member of law enforcement said, is he going to come to the same exact spot? I said, he's coming to the same spot. He's like, are you sure? There are other spots he could go to in Butler County. I said, there's no way he's going anywhere else from what I could tell. And then a few weeks later, I was with the president. I shared with him that we were here, showed him some of the footage that would be coming out in the documentary. And I said, they're wondering if you're going to go to the same spot. And he said, absolutely. Regardless of whatever the situation is, I'm planning to be there.
It's interesting. The idea and planning to come back started almost immediately after the shooting. We're told the Trump campaign was told that it might be better to have the second rally that happened today, perhaps at a different location. But Trump was set on coming back here to the same spot. All right, so coming up next in our special, the chaos on the ground in Butler after the shooting from the point of view of law enforcement.
In that building? That one, laying down. There's a gap in between you and that.
As soon as we get up here, you'll have perfect eyes on him.
You've never seen the aftermath quite like this before. And what we found after months of investigating this unprecedented collapse of security. We are live in Butler, Pennsylvania, right after this.
This was a failure on the part of the United States Secret Service. It's important that we hold ourselves accountable for the failures of July 13th, and that we use the lessons learned to make sure that we do not have another failure like this again.
The Secret Service taking accountability for what happened at these fair show grounds in July, and since then they have heightened Trump's protection. I saw that today firsthand at this rally. You can see it all over the place. There were snipers everywhere. But if you've been following our investigation, you'll remember it did not start this way. The Secret Service was quick to blame local authorities for the failures of July 13th, saying they didn't do their job. Butler District Attorney Richard Goldfinger was the very first whistleblower. He was one of the first to speak out to me, brave enough to defend his team and tell me that the Secret Service got it wrong. Then came hearings in Washington and investigations. The head of the Secret Service stepped down. A brand new report found that the Secret Service could not even answer who was in charge of determining the perimeter around the Butler rally, let alone all of the assignments. I got a chance to talk to Butler DA about what this all means to him now, all of these months later. Take a listen. You were really one of the first people to come out and sound the alarm that the feds made a big mistake, that there were issues. You know, other people were nervous to do it. You did it initially. I'm just wondering, how does that feel now with everything we've learned?
Well, I told the truth. I knew the facts. I knew what our local guys, what their responsibilities were, and they were sort of getting blamed at the time. So I just wanted the record straight. Someone had to stand up for them, and they're not ones that are going to come in front of the camera and you know, give their side of the story, and I just felt like I had to be the one to speak for them.
Are you satisfied with all the investigations happening now on the federal level to figure out what went wrong? I mean, do you think we'll actually get answers?
I think yes, I think there are enough investigations that we're gonna find out what happened, and I mean, I don't think there's a real mystery about what happened. It was just a lack of planning.
People thought he was crazy when he first talked to me, but everything he said turned out to be right. What he was saying there, it's exactly what our own investigation shows. Lack of planning and lack of communication. We've gone through all the body camera, the text messages, the security plans. Take a look at what we found.
If you're not law enforcement, go! We don't know, go!
Body camera footage shows the chaos.
Who's got eyes on him? He's got glasses, long hair. He was on top of this building, the left one. Is he hit? Is there a ladder? Is there a ladder there, Paul?
No, you use that board right there from him. Back up.
Hey, someone on me. I need manpower. Someone on me. Please stop. Please stop. A lady's been shot in the stairs, the far stairs. You need to lift you up? Hold on.
Secure this, secure this.
I got you. Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready.
Get them out of here! Get them out!
Face! Yo, you put all the puppies laying down. Next.
Bro, watch out, he's giving somebody down.
We're just trying to hold the roof the best we can.
Oh, this is gonna drop. Hold.
That's understood.
Keep eyes on, give me a ladder.
City's on the way out. They know.
Yo, eyes up!
30, start towards the farm shop. I told them they need to post the guys over here. I told them that the Secret Service. I told them that Tuesday. I told them to post guys over here. I have no contact with the inside. What?
I thought you guys were
No, we're inside. Alpha 1, Bravo 1. Hickey. I told them to post guys over here.
I wasn't even concerned about it because I thought someone was on the roof. No. I thought that's how we. Like, how can you lose a guy walking back here?
They were inside.
Why were we not in the building?
Because you need a guy somewhere over in the left side. Why weren't we? Because I thought we were going to post guys over here. I talked to the Secret Service guys. They're like, yeah, no problem. We're going to post guys over here. Have them respond.
The stage is right there.
They were on the second floor inside.
The law enforcement failures did not just begin the day of the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. They began weeks before. A law enforcement source tells NewsNation the security plan developed by the Secret Service was flawed. That security plan showed assignments for the Butler rally, with a star on the building called the AGR building, the one the gunman climbed on top of, assigning that area to the Beaver County team. But a report from the Senate Homeland Security Committee says local law enforcement raised concerns days before the rally about having the manpower to secure that building. Here's the commander for the Beaver County Emergency Services Unit at a hearing.
At no point during the planning process was Butler County ESU asked to secure the AGR complex, nor the perimeter surrounding that area. At no point during the planning process was Butler ESU asked to deploy a sniper team to the roof of the AGR complex. And at no point in our operations plan did we ever say that we would deploy a sniper team to the roof of the AGR complex.
A local police sniper ended up in the AGR building doing surveillance through a window.
They could not see where he was located when he was on the roof. Their vantage point was they would literally had to have been leaning out the window looking over to where he was located. But they were still where they were supposed to be.
Photos confirm the sniper's location, stationed at a window inside the building with a clear vantage point of the crowd, but not the roof. Text messages also give more insight into what was happening behind the scenes. 4:26, a Beaver County sniper finishes his shift and is leaving when he sees shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks at a picnic table outside. He alerts snipers in the AGR building. 5:14, another law enforcement officer sees Crooks lurking around the same building. He takes a photo. 5:38, a Beaver County sniper sends a text to a group of snipers with photos, noting he has a rangefinder and is looking towards the stage. 5:40, a response reads, "Call into command." 5:45, 5 minutes later, another text message about Crooks. Beaver County law enforcement confirms they alerted command. 6:06, just after Donald Trump takes the stage, law enforcement starts frantically searching for Crooks. 6:12, shots fired from the building's rooftop. The FBI found 8 shell casings. When did you first notice the shooter?
We noticed the shooter because people to my left of us the guys were talking that they were seeing someone on the rooftop.
A minute or two before the shooting, saw a guy, gray shirt, climbing up the metal roof on the building right beside us, and didn't know what he was doing, trying to alert cops and police that there was a guy crawling on the roof. And then we saw a rifle sling over his shoulder.
I don't know why they were waiting so long to take this guy out, but they were positioned doing what they were doing, and we went on listening to Donald Trump speak.
So why didn't the Secret Service snipers take out the gunman before he started firing? NewsNation obtaining this photo with a timestamp of 6:04 p.m., 7 minutes before the shooting, and you see snipers looking in the direction of the gunman. A photo from 5:41, even earlier, that shows snipers looking at the roof. The Senate committee's report says communication breakdowns led to the delayed response. 22 seconds before Crooks fired, a local officer radioed that the suspect was armed, but that detail was never relayed to Secret Service officials who spoke to the committee. And when counter snipers saw local officers running towards the building, they did not alert Trump's protective detail to remove him from the stage.
Information in a moment of crisis went through radio communications, text messages, and phone calls way too slowly. Secondhand reports were passed in a manner resembling the old children's game telephone.
This was a failure on the part of the United States Secret Service. It's important that we hold ourselves accountable for the failures of July 13th.
In all the chaos, a local officer actually did find Crooks on the roof. There was an officer who was able to climb up on the roof for a second and see the shooter. Can you walk us through what you know about how that happened?
He was on another officer's shoulders, and he crawled up and saw the shooter. The officer, in natural reaction, kind of ducked down, and he ended up falling off of the other guy's shoulder.
Before you came up here, I popped my head up there like an idiot by myself, dude. He turned around, I dropped, and I started.
That's how they got somebody up there. I thought somebody was up there. I put my head up here. If he was up there, he's a hero. I mean, he distracted the guy enough. Who knows what he could have pulled off if he, could have been concentrating. Instead, just now he's distracting. Say, hey, they know I'm here.
Dude, that's what I was calling out, bro. On top of the roof. Are we on the same frequency?
We've also learned from the Senate committee's reports that the Secret Service made a rare move to send a counter-sniper team to the Butler rally based on intelligence about an Iranian plot against Trump. But not every member of the security team knew that.
Commander Lenz, Lieutenant Harrell, were you made aware that Iran has ongoing assassination plots against President Trump that are active and ongoing right now as we speak, including to the run-up?
No.
To July 13th?
I am not aware.
Mr. Sullivan, in your experience, would that change how you operated? Would that heighten your level of coordination, assets?
Absolutely, Mr. Waltz. It would be a tremendous game changer.
And think about what came out of that Senate report. If there wasn't that Iranian threat against Trump, they would not have even sent the sniper team here to Butler, and we would have a very different situation here tonight. There likely wouldn't have been a rally. All right, something else that has come out of this is the need for more Secret Service agents. The agency says they are stretched too thin, and with so much going on in our world, we need them now more than ever. That is obvious. Okay, so coming up next, the biggest mystery in the plot to kill Trump. Who is the shooter, and why has it been 84 days and we still barely know anything about him? We're going to look into that next.
Exactly 12 weeks ago this evening on this very ground, a cold-blooded assassin aimed to silence me and to silence the greatest movement, MAGA, in the history of our country. For 16 harrowing seconds during the gunfire, time stopped as this vicious monster unleashed pure evil from his sniper's perch.
94 days after nearly pulling off an assassination, why do we still know so little about the shooter behind the plot to kill Trump? We know Thomas Matthew Crooks planned this in advance through internet searches. We know that he scouted the area ahead of Trump's rally. He flew a drone, went to the gun range to practice. It was all very calculated. And we know that he worked at a local nursing home kitchen and that some say he was bullied in school. But beyond that, we hardly know anything. He left behind very little social media activity. The FBI director said he barely had any contacts in his phone. I think it was only a couple, he said. And any other details we've been able to gather have come from former classmates who just kind of knew him just a little bit. They didn't even know him that well. Take a look at what one of them told us.
Well, from what I do know is he was a very intelligent kid, and he was really did well. He really did well at in school and had some kind of passion for like computers. He didn't make it onto the rifle team. From what I've heard, he was just not a good shot.
So how is it that this 20-year-old came within millimeters of taking a former president's life, and we still don't really know anything about him or why exactly he did this? No manifesto, no explanation. So many questions. Joining me now to talk about it, we've got retired FBI agent Stuart Kaplin. Stuart, it's always nice to see you. First of all, do you think it's odd that we still don't know very much about who this kid is? It seems like in other situations, the FBI, at least it seems like, they release a lot more information.
I think the FBI is very, very familiar with who this individual is, and it is my understanding that they have completed a profile and a full sketch of where he was, what he was doing through the preparation and planning phase. I think what the public doesn't realize is that this investigation has been designated as a national security investigation that kind of puts a little bit of a different spin on it. And that is that basically the information is kept at the highest level, the secret level, and that information will not be disseminated to the general public until such time as Congress gets together with respect to it. It'll probably take some subpoenas and some congressional authority to finally force our government to release the information that they are well aware of right now.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just thinking about the other attempted assassination. I can't believe that I'm even saying that. The one that happened near where you are in Florida, in West Palm Beach. We pretty quickly learned more about that man. I mean, there was even like pages released of his manifesto, but yet we get nothing with the shooter here.
Well, the difference, Brian, quite frankly, and this is my opinion, but I think I'm pretty good when I worked with the Secret Service, and I understand the men and women, they operate at the highest level. So let me just go back a little bit. The threat assessment to the protectee is the driving force behind the United States Secret Service in determining what assets need to be deployed to keep that protectee safe. And certainly Donald Trump, the former president, the threat level is at the highest level, more so because of state-sponsored information and intelligence that has come out that there are people more in the planning and preparation stage from Iran that have put a price on Donald Trump's head. And with that being said, then all necessary assets should have been deployed. Certainly on July 13th, we now know the curtain came down and there were very few assets that were deployed to keep him safe and out of harm's way. And the question is, was that intentional? Was that by design? Now, when you fast forward to September, the second assassination attempt, soon thereafter, the acting director, Rowe, came out and for the first time said the reason why they were able to neutralize that threat is our current president gave them the okay to deploy those necessary assets. And that, to me, is very telling.
Yeah, and I don't want to interrupt you, Stuart. Yeah, but what you said, I mean, the fact that it was the Iranian threat is the only reason he had the assets here in Butler is what is so crazy to me, that he didn't have the assets anyway. But Stuart, it's always good to talk to you. Thank you for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it. All right, still ahead. What made us come back to Butler today and do this special report, even though some actually didn't want us to? That's coming up next. You know, I was looking at my Instagram and Twitter, and some people were questioning actually why we are here. How is a Trump rally news, some asked. Someone even wrote that they were disappointed in me for being here and that it speaks volumes. Now, it is understandable that our country is divided and polarized 1 month out from the election, but it is news that a former president running for president again was almost killed here. It is political violence, and it's important to cover whether it involves a Democrat or a Republican. When someone tries to kill one of our presidential candidates, it impacts us all, and Trump coming back here, again, after such an unbelievable security breakdown, is news. Right here, less than 3 months ago, on July 13th, America's future could have changed forever. It was the first assassination attempt on a major political figure since the Ronald Reagan assassination back in 1981. It is not our job to tell you who the better candidate is or which policies are better, but it is our job to investigate the assassination attempt, to ask tough questions, and to hold law enforcement accountable. You decide who to vote for and who is best for you and your family, and we will report the news, whether it's from a Trump rally or whether it's from a Kamala Harris rally. That is it live from Butler tonight. Have a good night.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.